The early California sunlight streamed across the balcony of the luxurious apartment where I, Hazel, 50 years old, stood looking down at the bustling street of a small city where cars zoomed by and shops began to open like a vivid painting, telling the story of energy and life. I was wearing a white silk blouse, holding a cup of coffee, getting ready for a major charity gala hosted by Hazel's Elite Events, my high-end event planning company, where million-dollar weddings and international parties were executed with such sophistication that clients ranging from the elite to nonprofits were left in awe. Hazel's Elite Events, my 20-year dream, was the heart of unforgettable moments, from grand weddings to charity galas featuring big names. Meanwhile, the phone in my pocket vibrated, cutting through my thoughts about the guest list like a cold gust of wind on a warm summer day. I assumed it was Victor, my husband of 25 years, maybe asking about tonight's plans or reminding me of a small detail. But when I unlocked the screen, an email from him popped up, and the words hit me like a cold, sharp blade through the heart, making me lose my breath. Hazel, I'm sick of this suffocating life with you. I've withdrawn $100,000 from our joint savings to buy a house for Chloe, my new girlfriend, a radiant 28-year-old woman who's a million times better than you. You overspend, so I told everyone, you're not trustworthy. Don't try to contact me. We're starting over in San Diego. His cruel, arrogant words felt like he was trying to crush my dignity, my career, and my dreams, aiming at my age and the reputation I had built. In that moment, the sunlight on the balcony seemed to dim, but I didn't let myself collapse. I took a deep breath, inhaling the gentle scent of coffee, and typed back with a cold tone, "Goodbye, Victor. I wish you what you want." I stepped back into the apartment where sample cards for the gala were spread across the table, sparkling like reminders of the events I had poured my heart into. Victor, the man I once loved, the man who helped plan our first events, now appeared as a stranger, a ruthless one. I gripped the coffee cup tightly, my hands trembling, feeling as if the world had just shifted. But I didn't cry, didn't scream. I thought of my mother, who taught me event planning from a young age, always saying a good notebook is how you keep everything from falling apart. In my purse, the event planning notebook shimmered like a promise, and I whispered, "Victor thinks I'll fall apart. He's wrong." I opened my laptop and saved Victor's email in a separate folder as the first step of my plan. Hazel's Elite Events was my lifeblood, the place where I brought joy to hundreds of clients, and Victor was not going to take it from me. I looked out onto the balcony where the sunlight returned, as if California itself was reminding me I was stronger than he ever imagined. Have you ever felt like your entire world shattered in a moment when the one closest to you turns their back? I went through that, but I knew I would rise with a sharper plan than ever before. The signs of betrayal had been creeping in for months quietly, like torn-out pages from a planner. But I was too busy with Hazel's Elite Events to notice them. As if the sunlight couldn't chase away the shadows sneaking in. Victor started coming home late, blaming meetings at the bank. But his paycheck didn't match the flimsy explanations, like an event poorly staged with missing details. He set a new password on his phone, building an invisible wall between us. And I felt the growing distance, like the space between two banquet tables at a large event. At the same time, Victor began changing how he dressed, choosing tighter suits, wearing trendy glasses, trying to look young again at 52, as if running from himself in a party that wasn't real. I didn't want to believe it was betrayal, but 8 months ago, a receipt in his jacket pocket woke me up like spotting a mistake in an event plan. A short trip to Napa Valley on the exact day. He said he had a meeting with no mention of me. That night, I sat alone in my office, the dim light shining on the planner I used for our wedding, sparkling like a distant memory. It had once symbolized eternal love. Now it was just a lifeless object, like a party that had ended. Tears fell not out of rage, but from a deep sadness, like when a perfect event gets canceled at the last minute. But I didn't drown in sorrow for long. I wiped my tears and whispered, "I'm stronger than this." The next morning, I checked my secret account, where I had transferred money bit by bit from event jobs, as carefully as I planned for a flawless gala. When Victor suggested we combine our accounts for convenience, I smiled casually and agreed. But inside, I was calculating like a planner, predicting every risk I left, just enough in the joint account to cover normal expenses for 6 months, no more. Like a simple banquet setup designed to hide the truth. It was enough to keep him from suspecting, but not enough to bring me down if he tried anything. More than that, I began recording every shady behavior of his expensive dinners. I wasn't invited to luxury gifts. I never received whispers to coworkers claiming I overspent. I knew one day they would become sharp weapons like detailed notes in a planner. I wasn't as naive as Victor thought. Before starting my company, I had worked as an event accountant for 15 years, knew how to read numbers, spot irregularities. 5 years ago, I quietly opened a secret account, not because I suspected Victor, but because of my mother's lesson. Hazel, always have a path of your own. I moved money from big contracts into it, each amount like a brick building, my shield. I stood in my office looking at the sample cards and whispered, "I won't let him destroy my dream." The light hit the planner like a promise that I would fight not just for Hazel's elite events, but for myself. Have you ever felt the quiet signs of betrayal, like flaws in a grand event? I saw them, and what I'm about to do will make Victor tremble that afternoon while I was choosing sunflowers for a charity gala. My phone buzzed again, like an unwelcome pulse in a perfect event. Another email from Victor, his tone condescending like he was giving a speech at a party he didn't deserve to attend. "Hazel, don't waste time begging me to stay. Chloe and I are leaving tomorrow morning, starting a new life you could never imagine. Your company will soon collapse when clients find out you overspend, Chloe." I knew her, a young bank employee from Victor's office with a bright smile and confident eyes like a guest trying to shine at an event that wasn't hers. I had met her once at a charity gala, saw her laughing loudly at Victor's dull jokes, touching his arm when she thought no one noticed. She was young enough to be his daughter, and naive enough to believe she was the center of the world in the eyes of a man running from his age. In that moment, I didn't reply to the email. Instead, I called Ellen, my lawyer whom I had secretly consulted 6 months ago, after discovering a large payment for a ring that wasn't mine. "It's time to act," I said, my voice calm, though my heart was racing like before a major event. "The divorce papers are ready," she replied, her tone confident like a seasoned planner. "Shall I send them directly to him in San Diego?" I smiled softly on the phone, feeling like I was finding myself again, like when an event plan starts to come together. "Not yet. Let him enjoy his imaginary victory a little longer." I checked the secret account where I had saved $150,000 from my work, safe and unknown to anyone, even Victor. It was the backup plan my mother had taught me when she gave me my first planner and said, "Always have a path of your own." I took a screenshot of Victor's email, added it to the thick file of evidence, like an event planner, preserving every detail. That evening, I returned to the apartment, its warm lights wrapping around me like an old friend. This apartment was left to me by my mother, kept in my name even when Victor suggested adding his to the deed. I silently thanked her, the woman who taught me to always have a safe stage to stand on. "Victor thinks I didn't notice," I whispered, flipping open my planner. He was wrong. I sat down, the light shining on the sample cards, and I began to take notes, not for an event, but for the biggest plan of my life. Making Victor and Chloe pay, I thought about Hazel's elite events, about the dazzling galas I had hosted, about the clients who called me the event wizard. Victor could drain the money, but he couldn't drain my talent or my will. Have you ever prepared a secret plan like staging an event to protect your dream? I'm doing just that, and Victor is about to see just how badly he underestimated me. The next day, I opened the door to Hazel's elite events, my heart heavy but my will sharp, like an event planner preparing for an important gala. I thought everything would be fine, that I could focus on work to forget the pain, just like I turn an empty stage into a grand party. But a call from a major client made my heart sink, like when an event gets canceled at the last minute. "Hazel, we heard, you've overspent and your company is having financial trouble." Mrs. Linda said, her voice hesitant, like a guest refusing to attend. "We have to cancel the charity gala contract." I was stunned. My company had never been late on payments, and finances were always tight, like a well-planned event, where every detail was controlled. I asked more questions, and she revealed that a reliable source had warned her. I was untrustworthy. I knew right away it was Victor. He didn't just take the money and leave. He was trying to sabotage my career, which he called a waste of time. But clearly it was important enough for him to target, like someone trying to ruin a perfect event. I sat in the office, looking at the pile of bills and the planning notebook, feeling like the ground beneath me was shaking like when the stage lights suddenly go out. Hazel's Elite Events was my dream, where I found joy through the hardest days, from million-dollar weddings to international charity galas. If I lost it, I didn't know what I'd have left. Doubt crept in, could I fight back? But then Sophie, the young assistant, knocked on the door, bringing a new sample invitation, sparkling like a groundbreaking event idea. "Ms. Hazel, I designed this for the next gala. Look, I think the guests will love it." Her innocent smile pulled me out of the darkness, like the stage lights coming back on. I took the invitation, felt the smooth paper, and remembered why I started to bring joy to others. I wiped my tears, stood up, and called Mrs. Linda back. "Mrs. Linda, I assure you the company is not in trouble. I will send the contract and financial reports to prove it. Just like I've always been transparent with every client," I said, my voice as confident as when introducing a major event. She agreed, and I knew I had just passed a test like an event planner saving a party. But Victor didn't stop. I found out he was spreading rumors in the community, claiming my company was going under like a saboteur, trying to ruin a stage. Another client canceled a birthday party order, citing hearing that I'm untrustworthy. I called Marianne, my close friend from college, now a local journalist. "Marianne, I need your help," I said, my voice determined, like when asking a supplier to meet the deadline. "Victor is trying to ruin my career. I want the truth to come out like a speech at a big event." Marianne agreed, and we planned an article about the journey of Hazel's Elite Events, emphasizing resilience and quality, like a promotional campaign for a major gala. The article was published 3 days later with a photo of me standing in the office holding the planning notebook, smiling confidently. Clients returned more than ever, like guests flocking to a successful event. I stood in the office looking at the sample invitations and whispered, "Victor wants to destroy me, but I will win." Have you ever had to fight to protect your dream, like reorganizing an event? From the wreckage, I'm doing it. And what I'm about to uncover will make Victor tremble. Marianne introduced me to Tom, a private investigator she had worked with on corporate cases, like an expert ensuring the stage is always bright. "Hazel, if Victor is playing dirty, he may have left traces." Tom set his gaze sharp, like when I check every detail of an event. I agreed though, worried about the cost, but I knew it was an investment to protect my dream, like paying for a grand stage. Tom's report came 5 days later, like a bomb shattering every assumption. Like when an event reveals a big surprise, Victor had not only cheated on Chloe, he had a shady past I had never known in 25 years of marriage. Before meeting me, Victor had been sued for financial fraud at a small bank, embezzling funds from a client account, but got away with it because his family hired a good lawyer. The bank now had no idea, as he had altered his records, like someone faking their identity at a gala. Tom discovered that Victor was repeating his old tricks. He used his bank account to pay for Chloe's house, listed as consulting fees with no valid receipts. If discovered, he would lose his job and face criminal charges like an event planner being exposed for wrongdoing. But the biggest twist was Chloe. She wasn't just an innocent employee. Tom found an email between Chloe and a colleague in which she boasted about seducing the boss to get a new house. Chloe had targeted Victor since she was hired, not because of love, but because she thought he could take her into high society like a guest trying to force her way into the VIP table. She planned for Victor to leave the bank and invest in her spa project in San Diego, using their joint savings and loans. He planned to take out in the bank's name. But Chloe didn't know that Victor had already spent almost $100,000 on the house and luxury gifts to keep her from designer handbags to expensive jewelry like an event planner exceeding the budget. What shocked me even more was that Chloe had contacted my mother before she passed away, pretending to be from a charity, to ask for a donation. Luckily, my mother refused, but the fact that Chloe targeted my family made my blood boil, like when an event is sabotaged by an outsider. I thought of my mother, how she taught me to plan carefully, and I told myself, Victor and Chloe will pay not just for me, but for everyone they've exploited. I sat in the office, the light shining on the planning notebook, and whispered, "They think I'm weak. They're about to learn the truth." I began taking notes, not for a gala, but for my biggest plan to expose Victor and Chloe. I thought about Hazel's elite events, about the dazzling events I've organized, about the clients who called me the event wizard. Victor may have taken the money, but he can't take away my talent and my will. Have you ever uncovered a secret that turned your whole world upside down, like finding a major flaw in an event plan? I just found it, and what I'm about to do will make Victor never forget. I decided to defeat Victor on the biggest stage possible, the annual community fair where the whole city, from clients to bank leaders, would be present like a gala. Attracting every eye, I reached out to Marianne, who had connections with the organizers like a reliable supplier. "Marianne, I need an invitation to the fair," I said, my voice firm, like when demanding a supplier meet the deadline. "And I need a moment to speak like a speech at a big event." Marianne hesitated, but when I told her about Tom's report, she agreed, her voice full of excitement. "Hazel, I've got this. Do what you need, but be careful. This will be a big stage." I prepared meticulously, choosing a sleek red dress, not to show off, but to assert that I wouldn't be brought down like a stage set to make an impression. I brought a USB drive with evidence, Victor's emails, Tom's report, Chloe's emails, and an audio recording. Tom obtained where Victor bragged to a friend that he could fool Hazel easily. I also prepared a special gift, a fake event planning notebook beautifully decorated with a small hidden message inside. Justice shines brighter than the lights. While waiting for the fair, I focused on the company launching a new event series, inspired by summer with sunflowers and sparkling lights that made customers line up like a successful promotional campaign. Each contract signed was a statement that Victor couldn't destroy me, like an event perfectly executed despite obstacles. I thought about my mother, how she taught me to turn every challenge into an opportunity, and I felt stronger than ever, like an event planner ready for the biggest party. That night, I sat in the office flipping through the planning notebook, checking every detail for the fair, like checking the lights and sound before a gala. The light shone on the page, reminding me that I was ready. "Victor thinks he won," I whispered. "The game has just begun." I stood up, looked out the window where the city lights sparkled like a stage waiting for me to step onto it. Hazel's elite events was the dream. I worked sweat and tears to build, and I was going to use it to get back at them. I thought about the dazzling galas, about the clients who called me the event wizard, and I knew I wasn't just fighting for the company, but for myself. Have you ever prepared for a defining moment, like setting up an event to change everything? I'm there, and Victor is about to see just how wrong he was. The community fair took place in a large park with sparkling lights and lively music, like an outdoor gala, attracting the whole city. Victor walked in hand with Chloe. He in a suit, trying to look youthful, she in a short glittering dress, both wearing self-satisfied smiles, like guests who thought they were the center of attention. I stood at the corner of the park, observing, my heart pounding, but my mind alert like an event organizer before the opening. When Victor went up to the stage to receive the Outstanding Entrepreneur Award from the bank and began talking about the spirit of innovation, I knew my moment had arrived, like when the stage lights turn on. I raised my hand, my voice rang out clearly, cutting off his speech like an event organizer demanding a script change. "May I offer a different perspective on Victor's spirit if no one minds?" I said, my voice confident like introducing a major event. Victor paled, but the fair's chairman, who had been briefed by Marianne, nodded like a supplier, agreeing to the plan. I walked up to the stage, everyone's eyes on me like guests waiting for a surprise dish. I wasn't nervous. I plugged the USB into the projector, and the large screen displayed Victor's email. Hazel overspent too much, so I withdrew. $100,000 to invest properly. I played the recording. Victor's voice smug. Hazel knows nothing. I withdrew the money and planned for it all year. I presented Chloe's email, where she called Victor the golden ticket for a new house. The crowd fell silent. Then whispers began to rise like guests, noticing a mistake in the banquet. I looked directly at Victor, my voice calm but sharp. "Do you want to tell your success story?" "Victor, here's the truth. You withdrew $100,000 of our joint savings, used the bank card to buy gifts for Chloe, and tried to ruin my reputation with rumors. But today your game is over." I turned to Chloe. "And you, Chloe, think you're clever for taking advantage of him. You don't know he spent all the money on you, and now you're both trapped in debt." I opened the fake planner, revealing the line, "Justice shines brighter than lights. This is my gift to the community," I said, "because everyone deserves to know the truth, like the light shining on a fake party." Victor tried to get up and leave, but Tom, standing outside with security, stopped him like a stage manager, ensuring the script was followed. Chloe broke into tears, but no one was moved like guests turning their backs on a bad dish. The crowd erupted in applause, because the truth had been revealed, like a gala ending with thunderous applause. "Today justice wins," I whispered, stepping down from the stage, feeling like I had just completed my biggest event. I looked at Victor, saw him bow his head, his self-satisfied smile gone, and I knew I had won, not just on that stage, but in my own heart. Have you ever stood before the world to demand justice like announcing a truth event? I just did that, but a bigger secret awaits me, and it will change everything. The hearing unfolded like a carefully rehearsed play, like a gala prepared down to the last detail. Victor appeared in a youthful suit, but his eyes clearly showed panic, like a guest who knew he had been exposed. Chloe stood in the hallway, looking small under the cold lights of the court, no longer confident, like an event participant removed from the guest list. Ellen presented the evidence with precision, like an event organizer, introducing the perfect script. Victor's email, the fraudulent credit card charges, the secret spending history. I had documented for 20 months. She presented Chloe's post boasting about the new house and calling me the spender, like evidence of complicity. Victor's lawyer tried to counter, his voice trembling. "Your Honor, my client admits his mistakes, but Mrs. Hazel acted harshly, destroying his life like an event organizer, trying to ruin a party." Ellen smiled, her voice sharp as a knife. "Harsh. You mean wise. My client protected her own assets and meticulously documented every wrongdoing. That's justice, like the light shining on a fake stage." The judge examined the papers, the deed to the apartment in my name, the Hazel's Elite Events business license under my personal name, and a secret separate account. Mr. Victor, the judge, said sternly, Do you admit to withdrawing $100,000 and using the bank card for personal expenses? Do you deny this? Victor fidgeted, sweat on his forehead, like a speaker interrupted in the middle of a speech. I just wanted a clear breakup, he mumbled. The judge raised an eyebrow. With financial fraud, the court ordered the freezing of the joint assets. Victor was ordered to repay the $100,000 within 24 hours. But the money is gone, he cried, his voice frantic, like an event organizer losing control. We spent it on the house. The judge cut him off, his voice cold. Then find a way to replace it, Mr. Victor. As I left the court, I heard Chloe ask Victor, her voice trembling, "What do we do now? You said it was all arranged." Victor didn't answer, just lowered his head, like a guest thrown out of the party. The sound of my heels echoed confidently on the marble floor, like the rhythm of a successful event. I looked into the hallway, mirror whispered, I did it. I felt like I had just completed a grand gala, not only reclaiming assets, but reclaiming myself. Ellen took my hand, smiling. You're an excellent event organizer. Hazel, both in court and in life. I nodded, my heart light, but I knew the journey wasn't over. Hazel's Elite Events was the dream I had built with sweat and tears, and I would continue to make it shine. Have you ever won a battle but felt like something bigger was waiting? Like an event still unfinished? I'm there, and what I'm about to discover will change everything forever. After leaving the court, I drove to the park where Victor and I used to walk in the early days of our love. The California sun shining through the trees, like the gentle glow of stage lights. I let my tears fall, not because I lost him, but because I lost myself. In the years of blind trust, like an event organizer forgetting to check the script. I thought about my mother, who taught me event planning, always saying a beautiful event is the way to heal a heart. I whispered, Mom, I'm finding my heart again. The next day, the office of Hazel's Elite Events was busier than ever. Clients stopped by not just to sign contracts, but to tell me they were proud of me, like guests returning to a successful party. But there was a moment I stood alone looking at the photo my mother left behind. She stood by the banquet table, smiling brightly like an undefeated event organizer. I wondered if I had disappointed her by letting my marriage fall apart. Doubt returned like a mistake in the event plan, but I opened my mother's old planner and saw the words, plans made out of love, not out of pain. I wiped away my tears, began preparing a new event, like an event organizer, finding inspiration again. I created a support group in the office where women could share and learn how to protect their assets and emotions, like a workshop at a grand gala. The group grew quickly, becoming a strong community, like an event attracting hundreds of people. One member doubted my leadership, saying I was too busy, like a critic criticizing a party. The criticism made me falter, but I organized a charity event for a women's shelter, and its success proved I could do it like a gala, being praised. Hazel's Elite Events isn't just a job, I whispered, looking at the sample cards. It's me. I began taking care of myself, attending international event planning classes, not to learn skills, but to remember the feeling of discovery, like an event organizer, finding new inspiration. I bought a new dress, not to impress, but to feel beautiful, like decorating a stage for myself. Every night I wrote in the planner, no longer about pain, but about joy, about mornings, trying new ideas, about client smiles, about the freedom of knowing I'm strong enough. I wrote, I didn't just survive. I'm living. Victor and Chloe are now just shadows. I don't hate them anymore. They helped me realize how strong I am, even if in a painful way. In the office, looking at the flow of people coming and going, I feel peace, like I've found the light after a long storm. Have you ever had to relearn how to love yourself, like reorganizing an event from the wreckage? I'm doing that one day at a time. But what I didn't expect is that a bigger opportunity is waiting for me. 2 years after that brutal email, I stood in the main office of Hazel's Elite Events, preparing to launch an international online platform where I teach event planning skills and personal finance management, collaborating with women's organizations worldwide, from California to London. This platform, called Hazel's Empowerment Hub, is my new dream, where thousands of women learn how to build careers and protect assets just like event planners who organize their own lives. The office lights shine on the big screen, where I'm reviewing the presentation for the first online seminar, attracting over 10,000 participants from single mothers to female entrepreneurs. Like a global gala, I wear a dark blue blazer, stand in front of the camera, and say, "Today, we're not just learning how to organize events, we're learning how to organize our lives, so no one can take your dreams away." Applause rings through the screen like a round of applause at a big event, and I feel a deep sense of pride, like when a gala is executed flawlessly. I think of Victor's email, "Hazel, I'm fed up with the confined life with you. I withdrew $100,000 from our joint savings to buy a house for Chloe." Those words once felt like a blade tearing through my heart, but now they're just a faint memory, like a canceled event. Victor now lives in a small apartment working temporary jobs after being fired by the bank due to the scandal, like an event planner who has lost their reputation. Chloe opened a small spa, admitting that I inspired her to build something sustainable, like a guest who has learned from their mistakes. I keep Victor's email in a frame in the office with the line, "Success is the perfect answer." Through mutual friends, I learned that Victor's mother once said, "Victor still talks about the glory days, not understanding that he threw it all away because of his arrogance." I nod, feeling relieved, like when an event ends well. Hazel's Empowerment Hub is my legacy, not just teaching skills, but lighting up hope like the lights at a gala. An email from a student in Paris reads, "Hazel, thanks to you, I started my own event planning company, and I'm no longer afraid of losing myself." Those letters are like gems, reminding me that my story is the torch that lights the way for others. I still write in my planner every night about the students, about Sophie's smile when she started her own company, about the new dream I write. I'm not just living, I'm spreading. Hazel's Elite Events is now a symbol of resilience, and I know I've left an indelible mark. Have you ever realized that life can give you the opportunity to become the legend of your own story, like organizing an event that changes the world? I've done that, and Hazel's Empowerment Hub will forever be my flame, my legacy to the world.